Good morning. Welcome to Tuesday, January 7th. Just coming on 5 a.m. over there on the East Coast. And yeah, that was a lot of people yesterday, even though if you went through your alert room as we progressed from 3:30 in the morning, which is what time the email went out, and things were not as advanced as you saw. Futures, we were up fractionally, no big deal. We were up fractionally. And then all of a sudden that news started coming out about Trump with the tariffs, which was fake news. And Trump came out right before the opening bell and said, no, it's bullshit. Prior to that, 6 o'clock in the morning, we had filled those gaps from a week back. VIX holding 1622. And yeah, somebody tweeted out, one of the people I follow over on my Twitter, Truth Social must be down, or else Trump would have already called this fake news. That was at 7:30 in the morning. And like I said, I was looking at the January 17th QQQ 520 puts. I had them on the radar, ready to go. And there he comes out and says, just before the opening bell, the Washington Post story was bullshit, and the market dropped. And it looked as if we did actually have something that was concrete right there at the open. We didn't. Instead, we got that little bounce after the open. Instead of going for those ridiculously priced January 17th, I went back to March. March has worked twice already. I'll go for it for a third time. I'll buy 2 months rather than going and buying 2 weeks. Track you through on your alert room, and this is the most significant one, which I'll show you later on. 10 o'clock in the morning, talking here about the 0DTE IWM 226 puts. They were at 69 cents. The Wednesday ones at $1.64, and it was as we were heading to that unexpected number, that 227. Overbought across the board. TLT you could see creeping down, and then QQQ getting right up to that 528.61. So go ahead, guys. Feel free to go shopping because it's lunchtime over there on the East Coast, and everything is extremely overbought all over the place. And then I put this one out. The January 10th trade of the week, the 6010 6005 SPX call credit spread, $3. And it gave some ideas. It gave quite a few ideas. There were a lot of people discussing it already, but gave out a couple of ideas. And then this was the big one here at 1201. IWM, the gift pivot is here again as you scroll down to, because again, Mondays for me suck. I don't get to go to sleep during the day on Monday, so I don't get a nap. So as we start progressing into the closing bell on Mondays, I'm up 24 hours. And I mean, with some of the crying that was going on and the, oh my God, what do? I just, kind of thought I wasn't kindergarten cop, but, 152, we had reached the 23.6 retracement of the bounce, 59.75.84. Obviously, we had gone red because we had gone down below the open. And like I said there, 59.68, 59.60 are the pivots below if you're going to be riding down into the end of the day. And what did you wind up getting? Nothing but butter. Butter, butter, butter. Ho, 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 ho. And right here, this is where it was all happening, right here. And it wasn't that 60-2104 was a specific trigger. Like I told a couple people that asked me, where's your top? 6,009. That's where my top is. We're above the top. Well, all those guys that went chasing, oh, this is bullish. Yeah, well, this is what you got.
बॉडी को रिलैक्स छोड़ना टाइट नहीं करना
Yeah, you got that exam, and I hope that fucking felt as good as this felt because that dropped down from 60.21 all the way down there to 59.60. And then you got your little bounce right back up there, right to the bare minimum right there at 59.7650. But that's where you got it, right there. This was your 0 DTE 6010 puts. They were down here at 363. I know Nancy got in at 450. Your 450s went to 49.24 if you held on to them and rode them down to that 59.60. 450, 49.24. Not a rocket scientist, but that is, call it 1,000%, 10-bagger. But that's exactly what you did get when you came out there and you were talking about the IWMs, as we pointed out there in the email about IWM. IWM, baby. Oh, that's not it. Wrong one. I am giving you too much on that. But that right there. IWM gift pivot is here again, 227.13, and it was right here. It was right around 15 cents. 15 cents. It dropped down to 11 cents. $15 a contract. $176 a contract to peak as we came right on down perfectly on that drop. So in any case, not to waste too much of your time, here we go. Green closes, 2 green closes in a row. Not that that matters. Closed below the open yesterday after a 40-point gap up. Not bullish. Not bearish, but not bullish. 59.82.81 is your weekly candle. As I said before, we've got 2 green weeks in a row. 3 green weeks is not illegal. However, it's just something that you pay very close attention to. That's all that it is. It's not a science. It's an art. And as we have already here for the range, we have a 61-point range, which would actually suffice for the range for the week. Going back here, looking at December 9th to December 13th, 63 points. Go back here again, look at December 2, December 6, 66 points. That was the range for the entire week. So we could have it. But we know we got the FOMC minutes coming up here on Wednesday, and that's going to be the big one. So anyway, yeah, the 60-10, 6,005s yesterday, you got as much as $3 at one point during the day. So, regardless of what your entry was, you closed out full credit. The 59.75, 59.70s, well, let's get back to the chart because that's what we're going to go through. As you had your dip right on down to that 59.60, granted, it was 3:45 in the afternoon, 15 minutes left in the trading session. The 59.75, 59.70s, when we were here at this 59.60, were worth 10 cents. So you made money on those as well. So that's kind of where you got to go back and go and do some training day.
But if this kind of shit shakes you up, maybe you ought to go back to your division, Rather the watch commander to give you a nice job lighting flares or measuring car wrecks. You got to decide whether you're a wolf or a sheep.
And I share that with as much love as possible because there should be zero emotions when you are trading. So let's get sophisticated. Looking at this drop, and I'm just zoomed in. That's all I am. Don't fucking ask what time frame are you looking at. I'm looking at the fucking chart is what I'm looking at, okay? We had our drop, and our drop was a very clean ABC. That's the way that I see it. I see a nice ABC to the downside for the A, an ABC to the upside for the B, a 1, 2. I can see this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even though it doesn't fit, but it's a lot cleaner than an ABC. But it is really ABC. ABC is what we're getting to the downside. So that's your A wave, right? 58.29. This almost 200-point bounce to the upside. Very clean, looking at it, ABC. 1, 2, 3. Is this wave 4? Don't know. Don't have the answers to that. Don't have those answers, as it's only Monday. We have the FOMC minutes coming out on Wednesday. We have the jobs report coming out on Friday. So the way I'm looking at it right here, as we broke down below the 23.6 retracement of the bounce, we've got the 38.2 retracement right there at the 50-day moving average. You've got the gap there at 59.42. Yeah, absolutely. I could see a tiny little bounce back up to around 59.90 and then a drop down into that 59.42, and that would suffice for a ABC. That would make this looking very much like this is a bullish wave 4 to the downside. However, breaking down below, right below that 59.35, those bullish gloves come off. And we're going to need to see some confluence come with that. The VIX You're hugging 1622 as if you were biting the pillow in your first night in fucking Pelican Bay. Biting the pillow at 1622. Can't give you anything off of this. Nobody can. And the reason being is because you've got a little bit of volatility that you're working into as we progress into January 15th into January 20th. A little bit of volatility out there in the window. So hugging 1622, biting the pillow like as if it was your first night in Pelican Bay, we're going to need to see above 1706. Until we get seeing above 1706, we're holding over here in the 1622, and you're going to need to day trade unless you want to go out further and peacefully get yourself some time. Over here on the QQQ, the unfilled gap from Friday, still sitting there unfilled. Unfilled on the SPX, unfilled on the QQQ. Dow Jones, totally filled. IWM, beautifully filled. So you got your unfilled gap over here on the QQQ still from Friday. And you are holding right there around that 522. This is looking at the gaps only. Come over here, and again, holding and right on above that gap that was just dipped down into that 522.98. That is your significant pivot over here on the QQQ. We're going to need to see this breaking down and closing below that 522.98 in order to start believing that we've got a shot at filling this gap and looking down there into that 516 area. That's what we've got for now. And Jensen Huang coming out last night and talking about a multi-trillion dollar industry and a billion robo-taxis out there. I mean, you got to put that shit into fucking perspective. You got a billion robo-taxis out there. You got a billion taxi drivers out of work. It doesn't take a fucking rocket scientist to figure this all out. So, again, on the QQQ, nothing answered. Still holding above the 50-day moving average, right down there at 511. Still looking as a completed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside for that big wave 5 coming off of COVID, all the way down there at COVID. Still looking as if that's completed. But we'll see. We'll see. Over here on the Dow Jones, like I said, weak. Closed red yesterday. Come over here onto the Russell 2000. Beautifully filled that gap completely yesterday. Bye-bye. See you later. Go and fuck yourself. 50-day moving average way up here in the 230s. Again, over here on the IWM, that 225 break region, you start looking at puts in the 226s. It's doing nothing but paying you hand over fist, despite, let's go back. Let's go back. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 1% days in a row. How you like that? So yeah, you got a lot of love over there on the IWM that you can go and play around with. And hey, look, doesn't take much. Bam, bam, bam. Thank you, ma'am. So yeah, over here on the Russell 2000, looking at it again. Nothing strength, nothing fantastic. Breakdown below 2264. And the bulls look as if they have completely failed. But nothing is a failure until you start breaking down below 2230, which is going to take a lot of work. The FOMC minutes, possibly. The jobs report, possibly. So here you are. You're going into Tuesday. You are an adult. You are completely grown up. You are fully aware of every one of your actions. And you are in a place where, you know, with the market having done what it did, having had this exposed to you, having had this just a couple of weeks ago, having the spreads, unfortunately, best possible entries, which only happen in prison showers, being right there for you, I do my best to make it as simple, easy, and possible for you so that you can go on and enjoy your day and do what matters most.
Trucks, autonomous, 100 million cars built each year, a billion vehicles on the road all over the world, 1 trillion miles that are driven around the world each year. That's all going to be either highly autonomous or, fully autonomous coming up. And so this is going to be a very large industry. I predict that this will likely be the first multi-trillion-dollar robotics industry.